Pretty cool. Come on in. Ta-da!
Wow. Oh my god.
So this studio is 1,200 square feet, and I've been here for 10 years. Aside from my paintings, I also make a body of work that uses video game imagery. And the way I work is sort of a landscape photographer, like Ansel Adams, but I work inside video games. So I go into these spaces, which video games today are really beautiful. You know, they're really detail-oriented. So I go into these spaces, and I usually take 2,000 to 3,000 screen grabs. And from those 2,000 to 3,000 screen grabs, I take about 15, and I make a body of work. And that body of work reflects some concept that I'm interested in, some kind of idea that's important to me. So in the last few years, I wanted to use, to make work about the war in Iraq. It's very important to American culture right now. And I thought the best way to do that was to use a war simulator. So I'm using a video game called Counter-Strike, which is sort of terrorists versus counter-terrorists, and they're fighting. So here, take a look here. So this is from the game Counter-Strike, and it was a moment in Gulf War history when I really couldn't see how we were going to get out of that. But then in 2008, during our presidential election, something happened. And Barack Obama and John McCain were both promising us solutions. How will we get out of the war, right? And one is saying, oh, the surge and victory, and the other one is saying hope and withdrawal. But they're both making a promise, like a light at the end of the tunnel. And so that's when I made these two works here. So here we see a light at the end of the tunnel. But these two are part of 3 images, and the 3 images are entitled The Pledge, The Turn, and The Prestige. And those are the 3 parts of a magic act. So essentially they're promising us magic. And so I wanted to talk about that moment in American history.
So how many hours a day are you playing in computer games?
Well, I call it research, and I would say probably 2 hours a day. And when I'm really concentrating, maybe 4 hours a day. But I am married, and I want to stay married, so I have to watch how much time I put on my games. So this painting is a unique painting with this body of work. And what I'm doing is, whenever I have extra paint from my other paintings, I take the extra little cup and I just dump it on this piece of canvas. But there's a reason why I do that. It's inspired by this recyclable movement in America, where we want to recycle materials. And so what I'm trying to do is create no waste. So I'm using oil paint, which is petroleum-based product. And so I think what I'll do is I'll take all of the extra waste and I'll pour it onto one canvas and make an abstract painting. And then I'll take that painting and sell it. And I'm going to give the money that I make from that to a green organization. So I'm using petroleum waste to make a green solution.
Are you a great American?
Well, I think what's interesting is that term, the Great American, it's changing. And I don't know if it means what it used to mean. After 9/11, after George Bush, after Gulf War, that term needs to be rethought. We need to ask what that means. And so I'm not just asking that question here, but I'm also suggesting something. I'm suggesting that the spectacle, the super media collage image, might be what Americans do best. Like we remember the Italians for the Renaissance, and we remember the French for the modernism, but I'm really wondering if the spectacle, if Broadway musical and Hollywood movie and Super Bowl, if that's what the Americans do best. And so I'm trying to figure it out in a painting. So now that's translated into my paintings. I'm building with paint, building the world.